Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics round review. We're recording live on Sunday, the 27th of April, at the completion of round 7. A little bit better round, safe to say. So a little bit upbeat. Maybe the light is starting to be at the end of the tunnel, but we still have some issues to deal with, which we'll be chatting about now. But I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And if you are tuning in live, as always, put in any questions you'd like to answer, players discussed, and we'll answer those throughout the show, and maybe a couple towards the end, depending how quickly we get through the games. But joining me, as always, is my co-host and fellow AFL Fantasy Fanatic, Tim Guest. Guesty, mate, how are you? How was the weekend?
Better, mate. Well, I had a great start to the weekend in terms of my fantasy, but then, I was a bit under the weather. I wasn't feeling too great. But today I woke up feeling really good, so I went and played some golf. But, my fantasy didn't have a great day today. But anyway, still had a good week, climbed a fair bit, not as great as what I was hoping, but still pretty solid, mate.
Yeah, no, good to hear. It does seem to be the Sundays this year that have been let us down. Normally we like the players coming home and sort of putting up some good scores, but this year it's been quite quiet on this Sunday. So we'll get to all of that as well. And also, if you are watching live, make sure you smash a like on the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're near 4K. We're getting pretty close. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. But joining us is a very special guest. We love getting him on, and he always has a knack of doing really well when we get him on. It is the host of the Lemon League, and he's finished top 400 the last 4 years, and he's going along pretty bloody well this year. It is DT Lemon. Lemon, mate, welcome. Good to have you back on. It's first round view of the season we've had you on, mate, but how are you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's always nice to get the invite. I know if you're inviting me to come on, Bales, I'm due for a good week, so it's happened again this time. And yeah, it's an exciting week to talk fantasy. Tough sometimes when you have a hard week, it can be a bit of a slog, but this is definitely not one of those weeks. So,
yeah, exactly right, mate. Well, that's a good segue to going straight to you, mate. What did you score? What was your round rank, and where is your overall rank coming to?
Yeah, it was a strong week for me. I scored a 23.68, so I think the round rank. I think I was 23rd in the round rank, which was very juicy. Yeah. It was good. Yeah, it was a great one. And then I've come in terms of overall rank. I'm just outside the top 100 now. I think I started the week in the 600s. So yeah, it's been a massive jump. Most of the round I was actually sitting inside the top 100, but I didn't have many players play today, so I dropped a bit today. But it was an exciting round for me. So it's good to have one of those big stonker weeks,
Yep, exactly. Tim, why can't we have weeks like this? Why can't we jump on a podcast and say,
they're coming.
I hope so. But how did you score? What was your score, your round rank, and your overall rank?
I felt like I've had my first bloody decent scoring week. So I had a 22.47, which moved me up 7,000 spots to now 12,000. So I feel like, it's not as bad as it has been. It's good to be getting close to that top 10,000. And then my round rank, and this is, I had a 4,000 round rank basically. So, like I said, pretty happy with that as a week. And I felt like I had the kind of week I should be having for the first time this year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that does coincide with a better week for me. Finally have a 4-digit rank. That feels bloody good. First time this year we've had a 4-digit rank, which just shows how shit I've gone this year. But 22.58, high score of the season by a fair margin as well. Puts me into 9,639. Round rank was 3,091. So that's the first top 15K week. So we went up about just under 6,000 spots, which is really, really nice. So in the right direction, which is always good after some shockers to start the year. So, but we'll go to our +3 and -3. So, Lemon, we'll start with you. Who gets your +3, -3 for the week?
Yeah, so I think +3, I've got to give it to Nasai Wangadeen-Miller. He was a bit of a unique pick for me at the start of the year, and I didn't start Harry Sheezel. Was a bit worried about that, but yeah, massive 130 from him. He's just been amazing, and I think he had some midfield time this week. I was a little bit worried about that when I saw him in the centre bounce, and I think he got 8 points in the first centre bounce he was in or something. So he looks good in whatever role they play him in, and they might throw him around, but I'm pretty confident that he's going to be able to score now. So that's a big +3 from me. In terms of -3, it's pretty hard to find one. I'm not going to lie.
You've had a good week. You've had a good week when you're like, oh, who's my -3?
I'll take yours if you want.
I might not give out a -3 this week because I think anytime you're in the top 100 for the round rank, it is not much has gone wrong. So maybe Levi Ashcroft was my lowest scorer, I think. Yeah. So with a 65. So that I guess we could give it to him, but that feels a bit rough.
Yeah.
Exactly. Guesty, what was your +3, -3 for the week?
Mate, well, I'll take Maxi Gawn as my +3. Been a little bit concerned about him and his form at the beginning of the year. Obviously, faded cherry to go him, and then for him to smash out a massive 138 on Anzac Day Eve was lovely to watch. It was just really disappointing, I guess, that they rested him for those last 10 minutes because it looked like we had a 160 coming.
It's a
it's a bit of a shame, right? Because it didn't end up working out as well. I mean, look, some people might have VC'd or used Andrew Brayshaw at a 127 or the captain that you ended up picking, which I'm sure is probably going to be your +3. So I'll leave that for you, Bales. But going to my -3, look, I have no doubt that we're going to share the -3 because, mate.
Oh, my God. This guy's a walking injury.
Oh, he's just absolutely, probably is this, the weakest link in my bloody team. Is just absolutely hurt me right from the start of the year. So, yeah, I'm not sure what to say about that. I'm
chat about him a bit more.
I'm not trading him. I won't be trading him. I'll be holding him, I think.
Jeez.
Well, what else? I mean, look, he got injured, right? I mean, surely he can't get injured every bloody game, right? But
he's been injured so far this year. He's mad. What, round one, he gets hit in the head by Luke Jackson. We think he's not going to return. He comes back and scores 95. Next week, he gets injured on a 9. Then the week after, he flies to Brisbane and then doesn't play. The week after that, he scores a ton against Melbourne where they just chip round the back. The week after that, he misses his gastro on the Thursday night. And then last week, he scores a 60. And then this week, he gets injured once again there. And it's pretty damning that I can recall that from the top of my head, not looking at my phone once to see the scores, because it's just etched into my brain about how shit he's been this year. But yeah, we'll chat about him as a trade. I've almost stolen your -3 just because of my anger there. So anything you'd like to add, or we'll chat about Stuart later?
No, look, nothing more to add. Happy that TDK bounced back because he was starting to concern me as well.
Yeah, so yeah. Firstly, apologies for stealing your -3, but I had to get that off my chest. He's just
actually, one thing I will talk about is my trades ended up going pretty well. So because Xavier Lindsay went so well, and look, I looped both Trainer and Lindsay, and I actually decided, because initially I would have the whole plan, and I guess a lot of people would have looped Trainer for like a Zach Reed or something along those lines, right? So I didn't end up doing that. I ended up trading out Hugo Garcia, who obviously was subbed out very early in the game and only got a 20 or something along those lines. Ended up keeping Corey Warner, who ended up with a 74. So I'm pretty happy the way that worked out. With also Lindsay obviously getting his 98. So yeah, look, structurally it was a good week for me as well. I'm set up well for this week.
Yeah, beautiful. My +3, -3. I'll go to the +3. So it's always nice when you have your high scoring player as your captain. Bailey Smith. I was ropeable on Friday night, and he's lucky that Tom Stewart was there to probably get -3, because Jordan Dawson on 100 points at 3/4 time, I thought brilliant. After missing Dacos and Gawn, I've got my captain sorted, and then he proceeds to score 0 points. I don't know if Dawson's ever done that in his career. Let alone as a VC on a Friday night on my birthday, and he just had to shit on me right there. So wasn't happy with that. But Bailey Smith coming through with the goods. It was either him or Rosie for my captain. I went Bailey Smith because I heard some chatter about a tag from Darcy Tucker on Rosie, which happened, but he still turned up. But yeah, 132. That the second half as well just tackled his way to a really good score. So 132, very, very happy with him. And -3, it would go to Tom Stewart. him and Levi were my only 2 scores below 70. So that was like meaning I had a good week. So I will give the -3 to Tom Stewart. Like as someone put in the chat earlier, yeah, Billy, as he said in the chat, he was injured and still played 103 minutes. So he was heading for a crap score anyway. That's the thing. Zach Williams was tagging him. So I don't know what Voss was thinking. Like, why would you be tagging a guy that's been injured for half the year? Then Williams gets injured. And then about 2 minutes later, Tom Stewart decides he's going to get injured as well. So it didn't matter about the tag or whatever. It was just destined to be bad. So, and Luke, you asked him about Stewart needs to go. We'll be chatting about that very, very soon as well. Before we get into the games, Lem, what did you do with your trades this week? I'm keen to know what you did with your moves.
Yeah, this week I had Hall and Marich leaving, and I brought in Buslinger and Petrarca. So I just wasn't really confident in fielding Marich this week against Hawthorn, and I just wanted to get a good premium on field. So pretty happy with those trades, I think.
Yeah, Marek loves scoring a 70 and loves having a bad second half. So we'll chat about him. Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Beautiful. We'll move on to the games, and we'll start off on the Thursday night with Melbourne and Richmond. Melbourne getting the job done by 20 points here. A couple of big scores to start off with. The Christian Salem, a lot of draft coaches be happy. And I know that John Holm in the actually, no, hang on. Before we get into the actual game, we didn't actually touch on the Content Creators Cup, which I probably should have, because John Holm reminded me because he had Christian Salem in his matchup. But Guesty, how'd you go in the Content Creators Cup this week?
Mate, I gave Jordox a 50-point belting. So, yeah, got another win. So I think that's 2 wins for the year. So I'm certainly not on the bottom bales, which did you have a win this week?
Yeah, got my second win as well. So was able to beat Mini Monk by 30 points. He had Tom Stewart as well. So that was probably why I sort of got away with it there. But it came down to Bailey Smith against Chera, and Bailey Smith had outscored Chera by 11 points. And early in the third quarter, Chera was up by a few points in terms of our matchup. And I thought, I'm not sure with Bailey Smith playing forward a bit more, but he was able to come through with a good. So my second win, so I'm now not on the bottom, which is really good. But Lemon, mate, no surprise, obviously top scoring in the league, mate. But who did you come up against this week?
Yeah, I got a message from Nathan. I was playing the Obermullets, and I think he had the second high score in the league and lost. So it was a bit unlucky for him, but I think I covered him by 50 points, so it wasn't really close.
Yeah. So the two coaches that scored over 2,300 played each other. And that's Nathan, true. If you're listening all the way from Korea, mate, hopefully you're enjoying your holiday. But I know exactly how it feels to lose to the top scoring coach. It's happened multiple times to me. But yeah, so condolences, mate. Hope you enjoy your holiday. Hopefully you're going to win next week. Unless you're playing me, then hopefully you don't. But yeah, so we'll go back onto the game. I thought I'd touch on that there. But we do have some. So Lemon obviously top in the overall rank, and he'll also be top in terms of the head-to-head. But Lemon on 106th ranked at the moment. Also got Louis 335th overall, and DC's also 855th, so he went up a bit. And there's plenty of coaches. I see that we've got, how many is that? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 coaches in the Content Creators Cup are all inside the top 3,000 now. So certainly a lot of people have made their move there. And thankfully, I have a 4-digit rank. So moving in the right direction. And Guesty, you're not too far away from 4-digit rank as well. So hopefully that happens for you next week. But we will go onto the game now. And as I said, Salem with a 139 there. And Big Gorney, 138. Obviously very happy for all those people that had the VC on him. Getting a 138 from your VC to kickstart the weekend is always a fantastic feeling. Jake Bowie continued on his fantastic year. I wish I brought him in for Sam Taylor in round 3 or 4 when I was looking at it. He's been a fantastic pick. Chris Petrarca with a 114. He was also very good, and 3 tons in a row now in his highest score of the season. And Trent Rivers, DT11, 110. That's back-to-back big scores, but his role is so hard to really sort of pin down. Like plays a bit of half back. He pushes up the ground. He's not playing in midfield. I don't believe he got any CBAs in this game, if I'm not mistaken. No CBAs again. What do you think about him as an option for coach? He'll still be probably low 800s. Is he someone that people could be looking at targeting, or do you prefer to go for someone that's got more of a nailed down role in the team?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question, and I'd probably apply this to Salem and Bowie as well. You know, I mean, Melbourne only won against Richmond by 20 points. They look kind of good sometimes when they're doing it, but also they haven't looked that well this year. So I think the big question for me is, do Melbourne keep playing this chip game in their defence? Do they try and move the ball a bit quicker? I don't think it's sustainable to play football like this and be a good team. But at the moment, while it lasts, I think Rivers, Bowie, Salem, I think they're all going to benefit because they're just kicking it sideways constantly. So I don't love the Rivers pick. I think Salem and Bowie might be a little bit closer to the top 6, so you could maybe take a punt there.
Yep, I agree. Xavier Lindsay, 98, so very good for everyone that held him. He finally repaid the faith, and that could have been a fair bit more as well, but he sat a lot of the last quarter on the bench as well, so that could have been a lot more, but 98 for a rookie on a Thursday night, you'd be very, very happy with taking that, and as Tim said, he was able to loop that on and get that 98, which is very, very nice. Short 90 was good. Oliver, 88, ticked over again, lost a little bit of cash. He's not going to be a top 8, but he's obviously the least of our concerns at the moment. Taranto put up a poorer score with the 76, tagged by Viney, something to be watching moving forward because Viney's done the job now back-to-back weeks. Langford, Trainer, both getting 70s, which is also really good. And Sam Lawler with a 41, it could be time for him to go, especially if he's on your field. Maybe upgrading him would be a good move. Moving to Anzac Day, so a couple of games on Anzac Day, Collingwood and Essendon, with Collingwood getting the job done here by 41 points. And no surprise who was at the top of the tree in terms of scoring. Nick Dacos, just absolutely dominant once again with another 120 in wet conditions. And if you've got him, you'd be very happy. If you don't, Tim, if you don't have Dacos, he's going to be etching towards 1.1 million. Is he someone that if you don't have him, you just maybe look for some other value elsewhere? Or do you think that he's gone, 4 scores over 120 in his last 5? Is he someone that maybe just got to just bring in? Just don't worry about it.
Look, I think, he's got to be right up there in terms of, a high-ranking player that you want to get in. I mean, there's still probably argument that maybe there's even a little bit of value in him in the way that he's running at the moment. But look, I just think at this time of the year, and I imagine a lot of people are starting to get to the point where their benches are getting a bit thin, cash is running a bit short. I think you got to be looking for value. I mean, while I haven't been able to look at, price movements and stuff like that for this week, but I mean, Christian Petrarca, who we were just talking about, he'd be priced at maybe just over 900 after this week or something along those lines. And he's scoring not too different, right? So, I mean, you're talking $200,000 difference, potentially. Maybe not, certainly not that much difference in terms of scoring, not 20 points a week in terms of scoring difference. So, I think you got to be looking for value a bit more, but man, it's got to be hurting, Bales. I know you don't have him, watching him every week.
Last year I think if you don't own Dacos, you just have to make a rule that you just can't watch Collingwood games. You can't do it because you'll just agonize sitting there. So sorry, I was reading through the scores. Did you say Josh Dacos? Was that what you meant talking about being a bit cheaper? Is that who you said, or did you say someone's a bit cheaper? Petrarca. Okay, cool. But no, the other one that's also just going to be over 900k that also had a very good score, the 119, was Josh Dacos. He could be definitely an option for you or anyone that hasn't got him in their defence. Cheaper option. And I believe I heard somewhere that Collingwood don't actually play a red matchup for either the remainder of the year or might play only one. Like it's very, very good run for the remainder of the year. So Josh Dacos, definitely someone to consider there. Merritt ticked over the ton as well. Ned Long with a 95. Really, really good. Role changed slightly, a little bit more forward, lower game time, but 95 from him, you take that and we move there. Lemon, is it too late for a Ned Long if you haven't jumped on him? He's going to be mid-600s. It's almost probably going to be a straight swap from a Levi Ashcroft type player or a little bit of money from a Sam Davidson. Is it too late for a Ned Long?
I don't think it's too late. I think you definitely the value's dwindling there. And my concern with him, I jumped on him 2 weeks ago. My concern is that he might get a vest sometime. The time on ground's really worrying with him. They had this game wrapped up and he still spent most of the last quarter on the bench. So that's a concern. It just seems like there could be a random vest sometime and coach is going to have to jump off. So if you jump on now, you've just got to be wary that maybe you only get a couple of weeks and then you have to get out of it.
Yeah. It's funny because everyone's talking about him as a tackler and he's not marking the ball, but he took 7 marks, 94 tackles. So that was quite funny. So if he can do a bit of both, we might be able to see some more tons coming our way. But he was very, very good. So very happy with his scores. Zach Reed, 74. So a bit of a story from my weekend. I traded Zach Reed on Friday with the wet weather and thinking, yep, cool, jump off him. And then I find out a quarter time of this game here that Sam Wicks was out and injured himself at training on Friday. So missed out on probably 40-odd K, 50K, and had to trade Wicks instead. But there you go, just tailor my season. Nick Martin, low score with the 72. Conditions didn't obviously suit him. Perryman, low score as well, but hopefully you guys don't have him. Pryor, 55. He can be someone that you could also downgrade, or if he's on your field, upgrade as well. So, cool. We'll move on to the Friday night game, and that was Freo and Adelaide. Freo winning by 18 points, but safe to say it wasn't an 18-point margin. It should have been a lot more because Freo were very good and the Crows were very bad. Andrew Brayshaw, 127. That's now 2 scores over 120 in his last 3, and I believe that's 4 tons in a row now for Andrew Brayshaw. So he is ticking along very, very nicely. Jordan Dawson missed out on a really big ceiling score here, but he's still tonned up. Low-scoring fantasy game here, particularly in that last quarter. So good that he tonned up. Lairdy, my boy, 99. I still think he could be an option in a few weeks after they play Carlton and Port. A couple of trickier matchups, but after that, I think he could be a good option. Rankin, 93 was also good and ticked over another really good score in our forward line. Caleb Sarong, 75 lemon, 32 touches, 26 handballs, no marks. He is cheap and he's in the mid-900s. What do you think about him as a potential option for people if they can't get up to your $1 million players? Is he someone that you'd look at, or do you just think that he's just going to continue getting too many handballs, no marks, and just not be, I guess, the midfield that you'd be wanting to bring in?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how much Melbourne were chipping the ball around. I think Freo have gone the other way this year. They've cut back on that completely, and they just look to get the ball forward, win it at stoppage sometimes. So it's tricky. I love to see my premium midfielders marking and tackling, and if they're not doing both of those things, it's very hard to pick them. He's not going to get to 110 without a few marks and a few tackles. So, I think for now we just watch him, wait and see. If he pops a big 110, 120, then maybe you can consider. But until he does that, maybe he's a 9,500 guy this year. It's a bit concerning.
Yeah, great. Yeah, very concerning for sure. And then, Murphy Reid, lower score there, but he's obviously on a lot of people's benches and you'll be able to downgrade him, but he's been a very good pick for those coaches that started with him. Moving over to Saturday and St Kilda and Brisbane. Brisbane winning by 45 points and a lot of big scores here. So St Kilda, I think, are definitely a matchup to be targeting moving forward because you had a Lockie Neal, 128, Dane Zorko, 124, Zach Bailey, 120, McCluggage and Dunkley both going 113. And then Wilmot and Will Ashcroft going 108. So both very, very good there. The Saiwang Miller, so obviously, Lemon, you gave him your +3. I want to get your thoughts. So great score. Not going to complain on 130 at all right. But there's a slight concern with me moving forward with him because he played 91% TOG in the first quarter playing off half back. But then when he moved into the midfield, he had 2 bench stints each quarter. Second quarter, he played 65%. Third quarter, he played 61%. And then the last quarter, he played 69%. So low game time. Obviously, he's in there for a bit of burst and impact. Would that be, obviously, if you own him, you're happy. Great, you keep him. He's hoping he's going to be a top 6 defender. But if you're not a non-owner, would you be steering clear of him, the fact that he's over $1 million and his role is changing, I guess, quarter by quarter or week to week?
Yeah, I mean, we saw him play a little bit of midfield in the preseason. He looked terrible. He barely got a touch, and I thought that's great. He's never going to play midfield this year, but he looked really good on the weekend. Scored quite well in that role. As you said, the time on ground's a little bit worrying, and I think he doesn't have the tank to play big midfield minutes like he does at half back. I think if you own him, you just enjoy it. If you don't own him, he's probably priced himself out of being value. I think he's probably priced at, 108, 110, something like that. I can't see him doing much more than that in this role. So I think you just wait and see. Hope that maybe he has a bit of a stinker. Maybe he gets tagged. He's probably their most effective player at the moment. So maybe he gets a midfield tag, puts up a bad score, and you can jump on later.
Yeah, and I guess the good thing is if he's getting tagged, he might be able to go back to halfback or go into the midfield. So it is good that he's allowed to go around everyone. As Miguel says, that's a good thing. Low Toggen's still 130. Agreed, exactly right. It was still a very, very good score. I guess I'm just raising that point moving forward. It's a little slight flag that I just want to watch to see what happens.
Can I just jump in for a sec, right? Because only because I'm actually considering him this week. He's priced. Look, he was priced at 101 last week, and he only just reached his break even. Like his break even was 122. So I think he's only just going to be
still,
yeah, just over $1 million. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder whether there's still a little bit of value there. I don't know.
When I see like a Josh Dacos, right, he's just over 900k. There's near 100k difference between the two.
What about Jack Bowie as well? What is he?
Bowie. Yeah, Bowie's 900k. I don't know if you can jump on him now, even though he's been great. But their run does get tougher after the West Coast game next week. But there are a couple of options there. But yeah, Nasai's definitely an option. I'm just and I guess tackles will be there if he's in the midfield as well. So yeah, Nasai, very good score. Someone to be watching moving forward. Ryan Marshall, 107. Good to see him turn up, and he looked much better. Didn't get as many marks again around the ground, but the hit-outs there got more touches. So someone to keep an eye on. But in a week where we probably didn't need him to go well was this week, because every ruck decided that they wanted to actually play well after a lot of us struggling. But I think a lot of teams would have had 2 rucks go over 115 this week. So very, very good by the rucks there. McRae, Sinclair, Jack Steele, all scoring 90s. Jack Steele, someone just keep an eye on. He's going to be low 900s and coming in pretty cheap very soon. So just he is someone to put on your watch list. And then Levi Ashcroft, Lemon, is it becoming close to time of trading someone like him out? Obviously, mid-forward status is very handy. Obviously, you can still put him at F6 and keep him in the team. But if you can upgrade him to someone, is he someone that you'd be happy to move on from this week?
Yeah, I think he's definitely close to an upgrade now. And, maybe he's in that rookie wall. My big concern with him is he maybe gets a vest. I think Brisbane are in a position where they don't necessarily need to thrash him this year. We know he was meant to be in the vest in round 1, and then they had a late change. So I would not be surprised if he ends up with a green vest in the next couple of weeks. And, coaches need to have a plan for that. I think they have some late Sunday games as well. So that concerns me. It might be easy just to cash him in and he's done his job. He's gone up 300k or something. You can, cash him in and move on to the next guy.
Yeah, I liked it. I guess Kai Lohman being injured a fair few times this year has probably helped in a Levi playing a bit more game time, but I agree that there could be a bit of a sub-vest coming at some point. I think they've got a later buy as well. So, yeah, it does make a lot of sense for a sub to come in the next few weeks. And then, Garcia was the big one. Subbed out midway through the second quarter on 20. Did either of you guys, apparently, Ross, I don't know if he sort of had a go at Hugo Garcia or something in the press conference, but apparently he sort of let loose and wasn't too happy. I don't know if it was direct to Garcia. I didn't watch it. I don't know if either of you guys watched or anyone in the chat.
I was watching this game. I didn't see the press conference, but you could tell that he wasn't happy with that midfield mix. But it was definitely a tactical sub.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I thought he was actually playing okay. Jack Steele was terrible in the first half. Isaac Keeler was terrible in the first half. The Saints were just terrible in general. I thought he was pretty stiff to get the vest, but we know Ross is big on these kind of things. I think he's done it 2 or 3 times this year already. So
yeah,
he said it was a bit of a statement. Yeah, I think what we can guarantee is that Garcia is probably not going to be playing in the ones next week. He might be the substitute, maybe at best. So yeah, be careful. If you've got him, you sort of have to trade him now. It's too much of a risk to keep him.
Yeah, exactly. He's been subbed out, and he was a sub, I think, in round 2 or something like that. So, yeah, he's got to go. And Hugh Boxall is someone to just still keep an eye on. 230k, had another solid game in the VFL. He's been biding his time, but I dare say that they need someone different in that midfield, and he could be that guy that comes in. So someone to watch as a rookie, because we need some rookies coming through because they're getting quite thin at the moment. Moving to the twilight game, Port and North Melbourne. So North put a pretty good fight this one, but 9-point winners for Port in the end. Zach Butters, 126. He could be a bit of a discounted premium that we start to have a little bit of a look at, because his price is in the 1.05, and he'll go up slightly. So he's down a little bit from what he's priced at. He could be an option. The big X, Tristan Sherry, backed up his good score last week. Another 122, and did it without tackles this time. 23 disposals there. 39 hit out. So very good score from him. Connor Rozee, once again, playing off half back, didn't attend a single CBA. And the good thing was he had another 3 kick-ins, which is nice. So he's someone that will get defender stage, you'd imagine, in round 12. But Tim, Harry Sheezel. Halfback Harry Sheezel is back. He's back. And for me, I think he's, if I can get to him this week, I think he's an amazing target. He's back off halfback. North played well. He's going to be literally a tick over $1 million. And his breaking's going to be still quite high, but I don't think we're going to get him much cheaper. Is he someone that's high on your shopping list if you can get up to him?
Yeah, he might be who I go to this week, actually. I'm definitely shopping for a defender. But yeah, look, I mean, I once again, I didn't get to see a great deal of this game, but I did flick across at a couple of points there. And I heard that Sheezel had moved to halfback, and that pricked my ears up for sure. So definitely going to be on the shopping list this week. And, obviously North need to change something because they've been playing terribly as well. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe settle into that halfback role for a while. Would you want to see it another week, Bales, or are you happy for people to jump straight in?
I'm happy to jump straight in. I'm interested to hear, Lemon, your thoughts, but I'm happy to jump straight in. He had 4 kick-ins. North played well with him back there. I think it was a good move by Clarko. I thought maybe McKercher was going to be the guy back there, but they've decided with Sheezel, and we know what Sheezel is, right? He averaged 121 in 8 games last year playing in this exact role, and he was obviously good the year before. So, Lemon, what are your thoughts on a Harry Sheezel? Obviously, he's getting quite cheap, and he's got the only thing I'm into your thoughts on, he's got the round 12 bye, which could be a bit of an issue for some coaches that have got the 2 rucks in the Tahiti Khan and Cherry and a few other guys. What are your thoughts on a Sheezel as an upgrade target? Yeah,
the round 12 bye is a bit of an inconvenience, but I think if he's at that halfback role, it probably shouldn't matter because, he might be a 110, 115 guy at halfback. I must say I was at the game and I saw him lining up the first centre bounce at halfback, and I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to watch a Sheezel 150 on me here. But Pal Pepper was pretty much chasing him most of the game. Porter, a tough matchup as well. So for him, a 95 in that role against Port, I think is a pretty good score. So yeah, if he's playing halfback again next week, you definitely want to get on that. I guess the question is whether it's a one-off. Thursday night, right? Okay, so yeah. I guess the question is whether it's a one-off. Maybe I don't know who was missing for them, or if that's maybe a permanent move. It's probably worth a punt, I think.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Aiden Core and Griffin Lloyd that went out, but I replaced him with like a Callan Dawson and a Jackson Archer. So it wasn't actually like a sort of that. And they brought Hardeman in as well. So actually brought a lot of defenders in, but he still played in defence, which I think is a positive. And I feel like, as you say, Lemon, that I think non-owners probably got away with one in terms of like tough matchup. Power Pepper showing attention to him. 95. I think he's a very, very good target and high on my shopping list if I can get to him. Horn Francis 89. That probably should have been a ton, but obviously we know that Hornbag can get a bit angry sometimes. And, gave away 4 free kicks. Gave away 2 free kicks in essentially the same play there. But 89, still solid. Just didn't get as many marks and tackles in this game here, but he's still playing very well. Caleb Daniels 75. Not an issue, but he'll be someone I think in the buys that will look at upgrading. So I don't think he's going to be a top 6 defender, particularly if Harry Sheezel is playing back in defence now as well. I wouldn't be shocked if the kick-ins flip a bit. I think Caleb Daniels still had more kick-ins. Looking here, Caleb Daniels still had 8, Sheezel had 4, but I wouldn't be shocked if Sheezel had more next week moving forward because he is a better kick, I think, back there. Fino Sullivan, Marias, both 40s. If you can trade them, obviously that would be good because I don't think they're going to improve. But Fino Sullivan did move to a wing, so maybe scoring can improve moving forward. Moving to Saturday night, GWS and Bulldogs. And Bulldogs, a very, very good win. 32-point winners here. And Tim English, a 124. Very good score from him. Whitfield, a lot of people that own him were very nervous at the end of the first quarter. Copped an ankle injury, and I think he did it himself. He was kicking and landed on his ankle awkwardly, which that doesn't shock us when it comes to Whitfield. He seems to injure himself and not someone else injuring him. But 117, very, very happy with that score. He loves playing against the Dogs. It says here Lockie Ash, 113, but out. Did something happen to Lockie Ash? I didn't watch much of this game. Did anyone see if anything happened to Lockie Ash at the end of the game?
I don't think so.
I think he mostly played the whole game. I didn't notice any injuries.
Yeah. I don't know if someone in the chat was watching that game, but I did hear something happen towards the end. I'm not sure if it was a significant injury. I'll just see if I can pop up the injury report from after the game. It says injuries nil, so shouldn't be an issue there. I don't know why the AFL does bug out sometimes. Matt Kenny, another ton. He's been a pretty solid pick if you went there. Finn Callahan, solid score. Tom Green, 87. Lemon, are you more interested in someone like him over Sarong? I guess he gets more of the ball, can get more marks, tackles, but he is in that similar vein where he doesn't really rack up the marks and tackles like we'd want him to, and he's over $1 million. Is he a target for you still?
Yeah, he has been a target for a few weeks now, but I must say it was a little bit worrying seeing GWS play and how they love to move the ball wide and chip around. Again, a bit like Sarong, if that's the way they're going to play going forward, it just sort of caps what he can do because he doesn't really get wide at all. He stays very central. He does get some +6s through the middle of the ground, but they're not really the ones that teams constantly give you. So I think again, I wouldn't be trading into him off the back of an 87. I think I'd wait for a nice ton, maybe 110, and then look to jump on.
Yeah. I think he's got Sydney this week, so Battle of the Bridge, tough matchup here, and then I think it starts opening up after Geelong for Carlton Richmond. So it could be someone that you look at in a few weeks' time as an option. Joel Frazier, 84. That's cool. 94, 96 and 84. Since I traded him, I should have got rid of Tom Stewart over Frazier. Who would have thought? And who would have thought I should have got rid of Tom Stewart over my buddy, my friend Sam Taylor? 3 70s in a row since I traded him. That's just, he loves putting more pain on me. There you go. Bont, 79, got subbed out tactically. So good for the Bont to get a bit of rest, but also all of us that don't own him. He's got the buy in round 12. It's probably come at a perfect time. He'll drop a bit in price and be a perfect upgrade target in round 13, I would imagine. Cornerstone, 65. Probably should have been more. He was on over 50 at halftime, but good for cash gen still. Riley Sanders and Sam Davidson both with 51 each. And the bus had a big first quarter, but slowed down with the 42. But just quickly with Sanders and Davidson, Tim, either of these guys, would you be happy to be trading them? They've got Port down at Ballarat this week, and then they go Gold Coast, but it's in Darwin. So obviously slippery game. Either of these guys going?
Oh, look, I think particularly with Sanders, I mean, Davidson, just depends on what other rooks you've got there, what cash they've got on their head, who you can get to, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, look, obviously he's someone you can start looking to get off. But Riley Sanders, I think that's a pretty important priority. I think coaches were very lucky to get the 130 out of him last week, particularly considering he's playing that half forward role. And he's susceptible to dropping these kind of 50s. So I'd be getting off quick smart.
Yeah, he's still at the 20 touches, which is good, but obviously that midfield role obviously is not there. I don't believe he had any CBAs in this game. No, he had one CBA, so that obviously role is completely gone. Cool, we'll move on.
I think Bustlinger played pretty well. I think he did his job security, no harm at all.
Yeah. I didn't get to see much of this game, but I just know that he did okay. Obviously, not a huge score, but it ticks up.
He got interviewed after the game, so that's a pretty good sign, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. We'll move on to the Sunday games. But as always, before we do, we're obviously sponsored by, Guesty's company, Infinite Wealth. But we're also sponsored by our friends at Game Day Squad as well. Another fantasy platform for you guys to get involved in if you like. Obviously, they do. Obviously, you got AFL, you got NRL, you got basketball, obviously Australian basketball when that comes around the NBL. And then you've also got the cricket at the moment, the IPL, which I'm pretty much watching every single night after footy finishes, which is good fun. But if you want to play any of those, particularly obviously AFL Fantasy platform, and you sign up using the code BAILSDT, you get 3 free packs valued at $21 straight up by signing up there. So make sure you head to gamedaysquad.com.au and register. And it's really good fun. Weekly prizes are fantastic. You don't have to play from the start of the season. You can start from today, and it's all good fun. So make sure you head over and use the code BAILSDT at sign up. But we'll move on to Gold Coast and Sydney. With Gold Coast turning things around and winning by 38 points in a very good performance by them. And Chad Warner with a 119. Tim, is he a target for you now? Good score. His role looked pretty good. Yeah, most CBAs for the day. It looked like, Heaney got injured as well. Don't quite know what happened to Heaney. But what are your thoughts on Chad Warner as an option, low 800s?
Yeah, look, it's not someone I would normally go for. I don't know that he's going to be a top 8 midfielder.
He's a forward.
I just look. I have hardly watched him. I don't know. My concern is the up and down score. So what, he had 119, but the week before he had a 71. Week before that he had a 6. Week before that he had a 41. So, yeah, I don't like those kind of players.
Yeah. Lemon, are you sharing the same sort of thought? Obviously, he's pretty cheap, and we know what he can do, but he can put up some of those floor scores.
I think he's probably a good option. I see him as being that sort of 90 to 100 guy, which at his price in the forward line you could probably jump on. I think the problem for me is I've sort of completed my forward line already, unless I trade out a Caleb Daniel. I've probably got bigger issues in the defense and midfield line, so I think I'm probably looking elsewhere for an upgrade this week. But if you need a forward, I think he's definitely an option. In terms of fixture, he's got GWS matchup, which I don't love, so maybe you wait a week there, unless you have to jump on.
Yeah. I think he's probably not top 6, but yeah, he's getting to a cheap point that he could be a solid option. But I do prefer a couple of other guys there. Matt Roberts, 114. Obviously, we love Robbo, and another good score from him. Had a really good last 3 quarters. Pretty quiet in the first quarter, but really got going after that. So really good to see. The kick-ins obviously fairly split, but Roberts had the most with 5. Blakey 4, then good old Bicey, who scored 82 and had a pretty good 3 quarters. The second quarter, he scored 5 points, but still good cash gen ticking over with him. John Noble, if you had jumped on him, another very good score. Obviously, those TIO games are coming up in a couple of weeks, but if you own him now, you'd be very, very happy with him, and he's etching towards 900K. Dan Rioli with a 93 was good. Caden Cleary, 82, responded after a pretty quiet game last week and had a really good score here. So, very, very happy with that cash gen. Ticking along, Noah Anderson got the Jordan tag, scored the 78, so lower score from him, but he'll be fine. Corey Warner, 74. Tim, you obviously, as you mentioned before, you're very, very happy with him, and anyone that's still holding him, so a nice little bit of cash gen. Isaac, did anyone see what happened to Isaac Heaney? He did get injured and stayed. Here Tristan Addy said the Corey, so so he will drop a bit more. He'll be under 900K, so he's someone to be penciling in for an upgrade that will be quite cheap, obviously, with another sort of injury-affected score there. Flanders 70. I don't know about you guys, but I just don't like the role. And he just seems lost a bit at the moment. So he's obviously dropping a lot in price, and someone to probably keep on the watch list, but I wouldn't be looking at him anytime soon. And that's pretty much it from that game, I believe. So we'll move over to the Carlton and Geelong game. Carlton getting the job done by 18 points, and Bailey Smith and Paddy Cripps both going over 130. Lemon, I know Paddy Cripps had a poor year by his lofty standards, right? Obviously, he hasn't normally been a huge fantasy player, but I'm looking here. His new price is going to be 871K. Is he a potential option you could go to a bit of value, or are you just looking at, you don't want to sort of just settle for someone? You want to be going for someone that you say you're happy with?
Yeah, I think I didn't see the CBA numbers for this game. I don't know if you've got them up, Bales, but I think the last couple of weeks he's been sitting forward a lot, which I don't love.
He had the most on the ground.
Okay, cool. So they've thrown it back into the midfield. Obviously, they had a good win as well, so you'd expect that to stay. I think the only problem with Cripps is we sort of know what he can do. He's that sort of 95, 105 guy. He's probably not going to be a top 8 mid. He might get close, but you'd want to be pretty confident of that to jump on at that price, I think. I'm not sure. I think there's probably better options that I like more than him.
Yeah. And we didn't even mention, but Jack Viney's probably, so he's even cheaper, but he's in that range of like probably not going to be close to top 8 and probably sort of that halfway guy. So yeah, not too sure with Cripps, but sort of nice few people might be keen. Sean Manor, 118 there, TDK after a few poor weeks. I don't know if you boys have seen this, but the Rucks this year it's been in threes. They've had 3 poor games. Like Cherry had the 3 games under 90. Gorn had the 3 poor games in a row. Marshall had 3 poor games in a row. TDK had 3 poor games in a row. It's quite funny how all the big rucks have actually had 3 poor scores and they've all been in a row, but then they've responded with a big score. So, and if anyone hasn't looked at it, just have a look. It is quite funny how that's coincided with that. But yeah, good score from TDK. George Hewitt still continues his ton run with a 114. Ollie Hollands 104. Just annoying all of us that got rid of him with a score, but he got a 50 last week. So there's a bit of him there. 97 from Walsh. Chera 91, and I thought I'd mention this as well. And Bailey Lolacidis said this as well. So people are saying a few things happened with Chera in the last quarter. So he copped a bit of it looked like a groin, but apparently it was just a bit of cramp. So he came back on, finished the game. But there is a potential suspension on the cards for Adam Chera. Very similar to Mitch Hinge on Andrew Brayshaw. Hit Jack Bowes sort of around the sort of head area. And could be something. I didn't see a heap vision of it, but they showed it quickly and it looked like something that Mitch Hinge did. So just something to watch. Hopefully not. I guess, Lemon, if there is a 1-week suspension, is he just a hold for a week? Obviously, I know you had this chat with DC on Lemon League about injuries and stuff, and you touched slightly on suspensions and that, but what would you be doing with Chair? Is he just a hold for you for a week?
I think the tricky part for me is if you're trading a guy like Chera this week, you're not really getting an upgrade. I think we have a lot of rookies that we've talked about that have all peaked. So if you're trading Chera, it means you're not trading one of them, and maybe you can't get an upgrade on the other side of the trade. So for me, if I traded Chera this week, it doesn't really matter if I traded him or I traded like a Davidson, I'd probably get the same upgrade either way. So I think that would be an easy hold. Maybe you can loop him. You might be able to use that loophole option this week. But yeah, if he gets 2 or 3 weeks, then it's probably more of a trade consideration.
Yep, something to watch for sure. Max Holmes 65, seen the cop. Some can't we're aware of Holmes, and he didn't really get a lot of free space. So another poor score from Holmes. Will be cheap for non-owners once he gets past his tough run. I think it's around 11 when it ends, and he's got a pretty good run after that. So someone to be watching. Matt Carroll could be a downgrade option. I think he's going to be about 360, 370 there, another 57, and had some good moments. So I think his job security will be fine moving forward. But yeah, we got to talk about Tom Stewart. So obviously, Tim, we obviously talked about it before. I'm keen to hear, Lemon, your thoughts. So me and Tim have got obviously Tom Stewart. A lot of people traded him in this week and last week, obviously with the cheap price. And if you like the twits like me and Guesty that started him, then he's sort of ruined our seasons a lot. He's dropping a lot in cash. He's injured essentially every week, or something's up with him. But if we upgrade him, we're falling a week behind because everyone's going to be able to upgrade the rookie this week. What would you be doing if you had Tom Stewart? Because I think it's quite a hard one for people out there to go, do I upgrade him and just get rid of the issue? Or he might come good at some point. One would trade him back in. Do we just hold, upgrade a Levi Ashcroft or another rookie and just sort of keep that upgrade cadence going? Where do you sit with Tom Stewart as a potential trade out?
Yeah, I think it's really a tricky one. And I definitely feel for all the coaches that have either started him or traded into him this year. I think for me, you got to look at what he's priced at and what that, I think he'll be in the 700s or something. That to me, that's value for Tom Stewart. Yes, he's had a few unfortunate incidents where, it sounds like this one was another sort of impact injury. If it's not a soft knee, I
think the same knee sort of landed on it as he went to ground. He played out the game, like he still was able to run and everything like that, but he doesn't have the confidence. I guess he feels like he probably thinks he's going to injure himself wherever he goes. His new price is $729. He's got to break into 110, so I don't exactly know what that's priced at. That'd be probably somewhere in the 70s, I'd imagine.
Yeah, 74, 75. I think given we've got rookies over 600 that we probably want to trade, I think you're better off just trading them and just hoping like hell that he can turn it around and start putting up 80s and 90s again. That in the end, you look at him as maybe a value play that you don't even need to bring in. You've already got him in your team. It's just unfortunate that the value was created when he was in your team. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, it is for sure. If he's injured and he's out this week, he went off. It says injured on the app. They just put him off for last minute because the game was over and they didn't want to sort of worry about it. But if it is an injury, Lemon, obviously, this chat, as I said, with DC, if he's out for a week, 2 weeks, where would you draw the line in terms of he'd be a trade out for you?
I think, again, look at what your alternative options are. And I suspect a lot of coaches will be able to trade 2 rookies and get to the same player. So in that case, I'd be holding him. Hopefully he freshens up and comes back and starts putting up the scores that you expect from him. But yeah, it's a really painful watch, and I feel for coaches. I was on Connor Rosey last year, who maybe went through something similar. Repeat injury games and then injury affected, and it's a really, really hard slog when you know the guy is a good player, but they just can't get their body right. It's a frustrating hold.
Yeah, exactly. I think what we got to do, Tim, as Stuart owners, I said before with Dacos, you don't watch Collingwood games because you don't own him. I think we just don't watch Geelong games. We just got to go away. We can't watch it. We just got to hope that we check our phone and he's somehow on like an 80 or a 90. So, it's a tricky one. But, I know a lot of people will be trading.
Pretty soon, Bales, you won't be watching any AFL if you keep this rule up.
Hey, I had a good week this week. We're on the way back. So, that's the hope. That's the hope anyway. Final game as well. Not as hugely fantasy relevant, but Hawthorn and the Eagles, 50-point winners for Hawthorn. They definitely missed a lot of shots. That's for sure. But Big Meeky, 131. All the rucks aside this week, they're going to put out a good score. He was very good there. But yeah, not your typical 4 players that ton up in this game. Lloyd Meek, Mabior Chol, Josh Battle, and Jack Ginnivan. So very, very interesting. So you had Flynn scored 94. I know, Tim, you were sort of pleasantly surprised when you saw that. And I guess he could have been an option, but with TDK responding, Cherry's going well, Marshall's back. I don't think anyone's trading into a guy like a Flynn. So if you were, then you could look at it, but I don't think we're making any trades in the ruck. So he's just ticking along very, very nicely there. John Newcomb got to a 91 in the end. Obviously, owners would be disappointed with a good matchup. I still think he plays better against the harder teams. He reminds me of that type of player that rises to the bigger games. So hopefully he can put up a big score in the next couple of weeks. Tim, you mentioned Hutchinson. I don't know. What's Jack Hutchinson's price? So he's 488. Where's he gone? Oh, he backed up a couple of 40. So not of note. I thought he was a bit cheaper and might have done a bit better. Dylan Moore, 85. He's cheap, and James Sicily, 81 as well. Tim, either of these guys options you're looking at? Sicily's going to be low 800s. Dylan Moore's mid 700s. Obviously, it's an easy upgrade from a rookie, but obviously they've been poor.
But I just think we've got pretty full forward lines. I just don't. It's almost like a lot of people are potentially looking at trading out a Caleb Daniel, or maybe at the buys. But it's I just don't see there's enough value. These players aren't good enough to be bringing into what is a pretty full forward line.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and we're looking at more forwards as well. There are other good forward targets. So yeah, agreed. I think there are other options. Ryan Marrick, 74. So as I said, he loves a 70. So he's been good in terms of cash making, but his break even's up to 60 now. He's gone 4 70s in a row, but his next 3 games, if he's ever going to break the 70 drought and go over that, he's got Melbourne, Richmond, St Kilda. So I think if you've got him and you didn't trade him this week, I'd probably hold for another week or two. Probably not. I think you've got other rookies that could go before him, and I guess he's still got those guaranteed, obviously, a few kick-ins there. Like kick-ins today, he had 6. McGovern had 5 and Duggan had 4. So it was just those 3. So Marrick still had the most. Hopefully he can break the 80-plus barrier this week in a good matchup there. Anyone else in this game? Obviously, Carl Amon that's tough for anyone that traded into him. I know a few people that went like a Bergman or another someone to him with a good run, and unfortunately concussion rules him out for this week. So I think you brought him in, you probably hold, but it's tough when you bring in someone and they get injured the week that you bring him in. So, and then Hewitt with a 45 as well was pretty quiet there, and Hamish Davis got subbed out on a 33. So a couple of rookies that people were looking at not getting the job done there. We've got Super Chat there, so we'll quickly answer this, but we'll do a lot of questions on Tuesday night, so we'll wrap up in a second. Unless you want to put in a Super Chat, might be able to quickly answer that for you here. But Tim Ashworth's got a Super Chat here. Thank you, mate. He's saying Sanders, Ashcroft, and Davidson. Which two would you trade out, and how would you order them in terms of trade out preference?
It's a tricky one. I think Sanders probably can score the most out of those 3. So I think if you bring in the same guy, I'd be happy to keep Sanders for another week. yeah, he's not getting the CBAs, but neither of the other two either. So yeah, I'd probably have Sanders as the third one to trade out there.
Yeah. And if I guess for people out there that are choosing between Levi Ashcroft and Davidson, is it Davidson out first?
I think for me it'll be Davidson out first, but I'd be happy to trade out both whenever you can. And likewise, if Sanders gets you to the guy you need, then I'd be happy to trade out Sanders instead of one of those two, if that gets you the play you want on the other side of the trade.
Yeah, I like it. There's a heap of questions here. Obviously, we could be answering a heap of these and be here or not, but I know we'll wrap up in a sec. But Lemon, is there any final sort of closing things you want to chat about? Maybe we didn't chat about a player that you thought we might have missed, or anything we chatted about that you might want to chat about quickly before we wrap up?
Did we talk about Kieran Briggs? Did we mention?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, he was one that we didn't know. That's a 39 and a 50, and I think he set off like the final 20 minutes of the game or whatever. That, I guess, could you go Briggs to a Flynn if that was a trade?
I think coaches need to probably look to get off that. It looks like there's maybe a fitness issue there. I would not be surprised if he isn't playing this week, because I don't think we saw him at all in the last quarter. So bit of a concern there. A really strange one. I thought maybe he'd sort of gotten the fitness back up. Maybe last week was an aberration, but yeah, 2 poor scores. I think that's one you need to get off ASAP.
Yeah, I'd be definitely jumping off that for sure. Cool. As I said, a lot of questions here, but we'll answer these on Tuesday. So make sure you guys tune in on Tuesday night and you can get all your questions answered there. Or you can also head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. I'll be doing an exclusive Patreon Q&A, as I always do, every week. And you also get the Ask Me on Q service for free. That's the audio sort of response you send through, screenshots of your teams, full team reviews, everything like that. Patrons get that for free. So if you want to become Patreon, links in the description of the video or the podcast. Or you can head over to Ask Me on Q for a small sort of one-off fee if you'd like to just get your question answered there as well. But we will be back on Tuesday answering your questions. But Lemon, as we sort of wrap up, obviously lockout is only sort of just lifted as we're recording. But if you had to sort of guess as to what you might be looking at, any sort of ideas of what trade plans you're looking at?
Yeah, it'll probably be 2 rookies out, I think, for me. 1 down, 1 up. Maybe looking in defense for an upgrade just so I can take one of those rookies off field. But I haven't really looked at the midfielders available as well. It'd be 1 up, 1 down, I think, pretty standard this week.
Yeah. You don't have do you have the Shees in your team?
I don't. So he's definitely one I'll look at. If he's playing defense, I think that'll be a very attractive option. But I still not exactly sure what they're doing there. They've had other options. I think Zach Fisher might come back into that team. So yeah, it'd be a bit of a watch on team sheets. As you said, there are heaps of defenders that they name. So we're just trying to work out where they're all going to play. Yeah. Very, very good point.
Guesty, any sort of thoughts what you might look at doing?
Yeah, look, I'll be able to continue my kind of upgrade cadence this week. So I'll be able to trade out 2 bench rookies. Stored a lot of cash trading out Hugo Garcia early last week. So I'll be able to get like a Jackson Pryor and a Corey Warner to maybe like a Boxall and a Harry Sheasel. If not, obviously there's some other defenders there I could look at as well. Or I could potentially trade, maybe like a Zach Reid instead of a Corey Warner if I need to get to a Sheasel, if that's the way I decide to go. So, yeah, another big upgrade for me this week. Get a 4-digit rank as of next week.
Yeah. Stewart, you're holding.
I'm definitely holding him. Definitely. Like, there's no way I'm trading him, right? Like Lemon said, right? He's priced at 75. If someone said to me you could get Tom Stewart priced at 75, that's like 20 points underpriced. And I'm going there. Look, it's been a bad run, but a bit like we talk about, players that are playing way above the mean tend to come back towards the mean. I'm kind of looking at it from an injury point of view. Maybe he's gotten all of his injuries out of the way in the first 7 rounds of the year, and he'll be a clean run for the rest of the year.
Oh, I hope so. But I know that, Lemon, I know you've mentioned this a few times when you say, like, you trade them out, you lock in the bad scores, you lock in the cash gen. If they pop a 120 on your head, then you're not going to get that score, and then you've got to use another trade to get back in. So, Yeah, it's tough. I want to trade him out, and I dare say he'll be in my rage trades. I can't be taking this every week, but yeah, it's quite funny. I'm looking at the prices here. Stewart is 729k. Riley Bice is 653, and they're going to be very, very probably the same price next week. So it's quite funny when someone started the year 230k and the other one started a tick under 900. But awful year for him. But yeah, so I'm looking at going rookie down, probably a Lawler. Marias, one of those guys. If I can do Marias, that'd be great. I banked 247k trading out Reed and Wicks last week. And my ideal trade is going Levi Ashcroft up to Harry Sheasel. I will have a bit of money as well. So I think Dacos is probably getting a little bit out of my price range. But do I just bite the bullet and bring him in? A few other options I'll consider. But Harry Sheasel is the guy that is at the top of my shopping list. So looking at him. Beautiful. That'll wrap us up. But Lemon, mate, thank you very much for jumping on. Always a pleasure chatting with you, and glad you had another good week when we get you on, mate. Firstly, where can the people find you across the socials? And also, how can people find the Lemon League?
Yeah, thanks everyone, guys. Always a pleasure. You can find me on X at lemon_DT. And if you want to hear more from me, I've got the Lemon League podcast, which has just started this year. And it's been, very popular. People are really enjoying it. So a bit different, a bit more strategy focused. So trying to help players become a better fantasy coaches. You can check that out and, have a listen.
Yeah, make sure you guys do check it out. I've got links to that in the description of the podcast and video as well. But as I've said to you, Lemon, in person, I love the intro music, mate. I'll listen to that maybe once or twice before the podcast. So very, very good work you're doing with this music, but also with the podcast. Really enjoying those listens each week. Guesty, thanks for jumping on once again, mate. Where can people find you?
Tim Guest, AU.
Yeah. And you can find me at BAILSDT, and you can find us at AFL Fantasy Fans across the socials. Obviously, we're back on Tuesday night for our usual Q&A. And we've obviously my other content will drop throughout the week. So stay tuned for all of that stuff. And we'll have a bit of an announcement next Sunday night. So stay tuned for that. Looking forward to announcing that. But you guys have to stay tuned for it. So we'll catch you guys next week. Have a good few days. And we'll catch you guys on Tuesday night for our Q&A. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night. See ya.
See ya.